and welcome. This is Coffee with the Wolves. I am Damian Dennis here for JJC Athletics, joined by Shaun Sanderson, women's basketball head coach. Shaun, Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you, Damian. It's good to see you. Haven't seen you since last year.
Right? It's been a couple weeks. So this show is going to be our weekly coaches podcast kind of thing. We're going to have coaches on from JJC Athletics, a couple student athletes. And you get to be the first, Shaun, so welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. Pretty excited about this.
You've been my guinea pig for everything since I've been here about 2 months now. But we're going to dive right in,
Okay.
And we're just going to talk about your season up to this point because you're about halfway through, give or take. Before the break, very up and down year for you so far. Started off strong, shot off, 3 straight wins,
Yeah.
and then pretty much the opposite happened. So could you maybe tell us a little bit about really just kind of the ups and downs through the first half of the season for you?
Sure. You know, traditionally we've been known to play the toughest schedule in the country, actually, not just in the region, but in the country. If you look at our schedule, we have a number of ranked opponents that we've faced, both at the Division II as well as Division III level. Next week we have a game against a Division I opponent, so we don't shy against playing anyone. Sometimes the problem with that, there comes the injuries, the flu bug, and some of the things we've been able to experience. No excuses. We just try to put them in a situation where they're able to play tough competition with the expectation of getting better in the spring semester. So when those games get tougher down the stretch, hopefully we would have been able to face some barriers and things that would have prepared us for the moment when the playoffs get here. So what we would like to have had a better record right now, absolutely. But I guess at the same time, if we're going to lose, we want to make sure that we're learning during that process. So, but I told them the other day, I said, hey, I don't want to get any more losses. I don't want double-digit losses this year. So I put a little pressure on them. So,
how has your team kind of responded to the adversity so far through the season? You know, you mentioned injuries, flu bugs, and again, up and down in some of these games. You know, how do you feel your players have kind of responded to, again, that adversity?
Well, if you had asked me that 2 weeks ago, I probably would have said not too good. But I think lately, the last couple of games, we've been put in some situations that we had to deal with earlier, and I thought the response was great. We've been able to keep our composure, and not only that, been able to show the elevation of the development, their development along this process, both mentally as well as physically. So I think right now the response is really good, especially coming off this tough tournament where we were the only Division III in the program. But I thought for the most part we held our own, and that was a tournament. Unfortunately, we were down to 7 players, 8 on that last day. So I think for the most part, it may look crazy and a little bit of madness, but I think all in all, the master plan is kind of moving towards in the right direction.
Yeah. Now let's talk about that tournament. It was the 42nd annual ICC holiday tournament out in Peoria. You lost the first 2 games, win the last one. You faced a school a program you've already faced this year, if I believe, if I'm correct, and kind of up and down. You had a couple big losses in there, but what were the lessons your program took away from those 2 losses and then brought it back for that final game?
Yeah, well, first of all, kind of back up a little bit. That was a tournament we caught at like a week before we got in it,
right?
Which we had dropped 5 games on the season, so to be able to get 3 games in 3 days was phenomenal. But after that, only 2 days of preparation coming off the holiday break. That's always scary. And then you have to go up against Kirkwood, who was undefeated, #1 team in the country. So that game took a toll on us. Then to come back and play less than 24 hours, that was tough. So just the mental preparation, the physical preparation. But I thought we held our own for the most part. And then Yeah, that's a great point because to come and beat somebody that you already played, it's a little revenge factor on their part. But even being down close by 20 points, that composure thing, they stayed composed, came together as a team, and pulled out. I think at one point we had went on like a 18-2, 18-4 run to close out the game and win by double digits. So kudos to our team. And again, we only had like 7 or 8 players on that day. So
since the tournament ended and including that final game, you've won basically your last game of 2023 and your first game of 2024. So New Year's off to a great start for the Wolves.
Undefeated for the year.
Yeah. What are you hoping to see out of your student athletes and the team as the season progresses and we start getting into that postseason push?
More togetherness, sisterhood as we call it. On our trip, we did a Why We Play. It was an opportunity for the girls to get to know one another and what they're actually playing for. So we want that team camaraderie, especially going down the stretch. And we want to make sure that all our I's are dotted and all our T's are crossed. A lot of questions, fundamentals, technique, just a lot of preparation, making sure that we're all on the same page, not only with our players, but with our coaching staffs. This is a great time because they don't have to worry about classes, don't have to worry about final papers and things. So this is an opportunity to ask questions and make sure that we're moving in the right direction of where we need to be.
How do you think the chemistry is of this team so far?
Right now, not good. And the reason why I say that, we have Olivia who just joined the team. She's doing phenomenal in the first 4 games that she's played. We have Ashanti, who's going to be a key player for us. She's got to get acclimated and in shape. And now we have like Egypt. She's someone that didn't play a lot of minutes, but because of her development now, she's putting the pressure on the coaches to put her in that rotation. So just when you thought you had the rotation, here it is, 11 players. We got to refigure this thing out. Yeah. So. But it's a good task for the coaches to try to figure out.
Yeah. How do you adjust with, we mentioned the injuries and illnesses and then just new players joining the team midway through the season or partway through the season. What's the process like to try and figure out the best rotation actively while you're in the games too? Because, what you do in practice may not work for a specific game situation. So, what's the process like trying to figure that out?
I think it comes down basically to the fundamentals because we ask them to continue to play hard, get to the proper spots. So if you're out there, we always say take advantage of your opportunity. If they're doing the things that we're asking them to do, it's easy for us. If they're being productive, it's easy for us. The moment you're not doing what you're supposed to do, you're showing some sign of fatigue, that's when the choices are made. Yesterday, I think we hit the right buttons. There were times when we didn't go on that run. So those are moments where we're still creating that chemistry. But I think considering, having our 11 players last night, we hit the right buttons at the right time.
Cool. Let's talk a little bit about some specific players. Just highlight a few of these athletes on your team. Start with Grace Harris. She's kind of been like the cornerstone of the offense. What can you say about just the way she plays and what she means to the team as far as on the court value?
She's been great. Been great in the classroom and definitely on the court. She's a scorer. She can handle the ball. She has a high basketball IQ. We had a discussion yesterday. I mentioned something and she picked up on it like right away. But she's been able, when we can't score, she's been one able to score. She makes players around her better. Sometimes she shows a little bit of frustration, but then that's the passion, that's the competitive nature in her. She wants to win. She signed up to play basketball to win. Could have went somewhere academically for 4 years, but she wanted to play basketball. So, but she's our engine. She makes us go. Not very vocal, but she can be. But her she speaks with her game. She speaks with her effort. And she's playing both ends of the floor, both offensive and defensively. And I think the girls like her. Sometimes your best player can be the worst player in terms of personality, but she's been great.
Yeah. Kaya Robertson, she I think the last 2 games she earned her first collegiate double-double, both games. She's been phenomenal on the defensive end. She's clearly shown, she can play offensively too. What does she mean to have out there on the floor?
She gives us an anchor, a post presence, someone we can throw the ball to get close baskets. I asked her when we recruited her, does she want to be good or does she want to be great? She told me she wanted to be great. So we expect great things from her. She's a worker. The scary part is she still doesn't know how good she can be. And that's scary because we see one thing, and you mentioned the double-doubles. We told her, you have not had a double-digit rebounding night. And what did she do? She came out, she did it, and did it the next night. I haven't seen the final stats from last night, but I believe she got it last night. So she's very determined once she knows and when she's put to the challenge. Mm-hmm. So I expect more, and I think you'll see more moving forward.
Yeah, I was very surprised. I don't remember the game, but the first game where you had texted me telling me, hey, Kaya got her first collegiate double-double. I was like, I literally went to the website and was like, that can't be true. She's had one, right? And
yeah.
No. I was caught off guard because just the way she plays, I think so far this season she's put up 20 points before, or she's a defensive force on the floor. Like, it just caught me off guard hearing that because I could have swore she had done it multiple games.
Yeah, a quick funny story. We were at the tournament last week, and one of the elderly coaches, he said, hey, you're pretty good, but the way you get up and down the floor, he said, I'm 70-something years old. I can beat you off the floor. Well, she took that challenge, and like that first minute, she was up and down the floor. It was like she wanted to prove him wrong.
Yeah.
So she's a great individual. Like I said, you're going to see so many great things from her. But yeah, I think she's starting to understand the game. And last night she was able to see another veteran post player work and get to their spots. So she was taking it all in like a sponge. So I'm excited to see what she'll do on our next game on Saturday.
Maggie Grady's another one of those players for you who's kind of a little bit on each ends, all over the place, provides a lot of support for the team. Yeah. Again, what can you say about her?
We recruited Maggie out of high school, and she elected to go to a four-year institution and, of course, transferred to us. And up until now, she's been asked to play in the post. So now here it is. I'm asking her to be a guard. So sometimes in her game, you'll see her go down and post players up because that's kind of her comfort level. I'm asking her to shoot the ball. So we believe in her. She has one of the most consistent shots on this team. Sometimes she does lack confidence. I think in her mind, and this drives me crazy sometimes, they think I'm supposed to hit every shot I take. We want you to think that way, but that's not the case. The other day, she missed 2 shots in a row, and she's hanging her head, don't want to take the third. I was like, no, keep shooting it. So, but she gives us that versatility. When she gets a rebound and just goes, sometimes she's our point guard for that moment in time. But she gives us an inside as well as outside threat.
You mentioned Ashanti Brown earlier. She's only been actively on the, playing for a couple weeks now. I think the first night we tried the play-by-play was her debut for JJC. Mm-hmm. What are you expecting out of her as the season progresses?
Oh, wow. Once she gets into shape, I think you'll start to see her true value. I know coming off injury, there can be a little hesitation. This is her first time in competition at this level since 21. But she shows the signs. She's very quick, very heady, as we like to say, in terms of her IQ of the game. But I think once she gets into rare form, you'll see her playmaking ability as well as scoring ability. And we got to get her a little bit faster, but I think when it's all said and done, we are witnessing somebody that can be very special.
Is there anyone else, another one of your student athletes or multiples you may want to bring up right now? Because you've got a very active team. You've mentioned, you're back to full power now. You're getting everybody minutes. Who else comes to mind when it comes to, your success moving forward?
Yeah, it's, the team is very fun to coach, and they're, making strides. But if I had to name one, I know Egypt Brandon right now is making some huge strides right now. Started off very slow, but her athleticism is just like amazing. So during the tournament, here it is, she's playing some of the top competition, and she's like giving them fits. So I think now she's starting to buy into defense. And she sees what her God-given abilities are, so she's starting to use those things, and we're seeing the benefit of it. Her ball handling now has gotten a little bit better. Not the best, but it has gotten better to the point where she's out there enough to hold her own. And we were pretty excited to see her make a jump shot last night. We hadn't seen that this year, but for her to be able to rise up, and when she leaps, she's like 7 feet tall. That's just how long she is, and nobody's going to block that shot. Yeah, so she's one individual. We're loving her progression right now, and it has forced my hand to put her in the rotation more.
Yeah. Your next game is this Saturday against Moraine Valley. How are you, becoming kind of game planning for that game?
We played them early in the season, and we had over a 20-point lead and lost to them by like 2 or 3. So this is a game that the girls have circled on their radar. But we're not going to change much of what we did before. I just think we're the better team. But we're hoping that what we've learned from that game has helped our growth and development up to this point. When we played them last, I think we had girls injured. I think we played with 7 players. That shouldn't be a factor this time. But I just think we're the better team right now. Delwyn Jones does a great job over there. I know they've been struggling with some numbers and things, but we're going to stay consistent. I think I told them if we do 3 or 4 things right, that's what we want to stay with. We want to be great at those 3 or 4 things. There's no need to throw anything new because we're still learning. We're still so young. But we're gonna go in with the girls are calling it a little revenge factor. I just want to win the game.
Yeah. So, about halfway through the season, how would you grade the program's kind of success at this point in the year?
For me, I would say a C plus. And you mentioned earlier we started off a 3-0 start. We're 15th in the country at one point. Although that number doesn't really matter to me, but I would say a C plus. And I give them that plus because it seems like we're moving in that right direction.
Yeah. You've certainly had games where you'd probably grade the team on an individual basis. Oh, A plus this day, maybe a D this day. Again, up to this point, it's been very up and down for Wolves women's basketball, but it's starting to kind of turn in the right direction. You've now won back-to-back games. You're facing a team this weekend who you just said it. Your players want to kind of go into and win. You want to win, but they have it kind of like that revenge factor, as you said. Where do you see the team kind of going the next month?
The next month, I try not to look that far ahead. I look.
That's why I asked.
Moving forward, we always say we want to get at least 1% better each day. But there's some things we want to hold them accountable for, just small things. We think these small things will make us that much better moving forward. I think our communication has to get better as a coaching staff, as a team. And then we have to be able to challenge one another better. Because if it's happening in practice on our day-to-day lives, when we get to the game, it's a piece of cake. At least it should be. But, I mean, I'll go out on a limb and say we would like to think that we're undefeated for 2024 a month from now. So I don't know. We have a tough schedule moving forward, but to me that doesn't matter. With the kids that we've recruited, they're skilled, they're talented, so they're developing the mentality right now to prepare them for what's to come.
Yeah. You mentioned a tough schedule. You keep adding games to the schedule. I think the end of the month, beginning of February, you have a stretch where it's like a game, a day off, a game, a day off, a game, a day off.
Yeah.
And you've mentioned before, like the tournament you guys just participated in, kind of preparing the team for the postseason because, hey, you're not going to get a day off. Let's get used to this kind of back-to-back-to-back action.
Yeah, we wanted them to feel what it feels like if they're going to compete for a tournament. Once you get to the national tournament, you're either going to play 4 days in a row or it's going to be 3 days in a row. So we wanted them to physically and mentally understand what that feels like. So what better way, the Illinois Central Tournament, which is 42 years running, playing some of the best talent that the Division II country has to offer. So we wanted them to feel it, remember it, keep it in your memory bank. So when we get to March, they know, oh, we did this before. So, but we're going for the big prize. We want what basketball brings, and that's championships.
Right. Well, Coach, I appreciate your time. For those watching and listening, this was Coffee with the Wolves, presented by JJC Athletics. Our first of hopefully many weekly Coaches Talk podcast here. Again, I'm Damian Dennis. Coach, we'll have you on again probably in 2 weeks, 3 weeks, something like that.
Okay. Thank you. Appreciate it.